Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you for that amazing welcome. Thank you all for the great convention that we've
Thank
had.
you. Thank you very much.
And
friends,
Chelsea,
delegates,
thank you.
and fellow Americans, I humbly
so proud
and
to
gratefully
be
accept
your,
your nomination
so proud of the woman
for the
become.
presidency of the United States.
Thank you for bringing Mark into our family and Charlotte and Aiden into the world. And Bill, that conversation we started in the law library 45 years ago it is still going strong.
USA, USA,
that conversation
USA.
has lasted through good times that filled us with joy and hard times that tested us. And I've even gotten a
Who would
few
have
words
believed
in along the
that
way.
when we started this journey on June 16th
On
last
Tuesday
year,
night, I
we,
was so happy to
and
see
I say
that
we,
my explainer
because
in chief
we
is still on the
are
job.
a team, would have received
I'm also
almost
grateful to the rest of my
14 million
family
votes, the
and to the
most in the
friends of a
history of the
lifetime.
Republican Party,
for all of you
and
whose
that the
hard
Republican
work brought
Party
us here tonight.
would get 60%
And to
more
those of
votes
you who joined
than it
this
received
campaign
8
this
years
week.
ago. Who would have believed this?
Thank you.
Who would have believed this?
What a remarkable week it's been.
The Democrats, on the other hand, received 20% fewer votes
the man
than they
from
got
Hope,
4
Bill
years
Clinton,
ago. Not so
And
good.
the man
Not so good.
of hope, Barack Obama.
Together, we will lead our party back to the White House, and we will lead
America
our
is
country
stronger because
back to
of
safety,
President Obama's
prosperity,
leadership, and I'm
peace.
better because of his friendship.
We will be a
We've
country
heard from our
of
terrific
generosity
Vice President,
and
the
warmth.
one and only
But we
Joe
will
Biden.
also be a country of law and order.
He spoke from his big heart about our party's commitment to working people, as only he can do. And First Lady Michelle Obama reminded us.
Our convention occurs at a moment of crisis for our nation.
That
the
our
attacks
children are
on our
watching.
police and the
And the
terrorism
president we
of
elect
our cities
is going to be
threaten
their president
our very
too.
way of
And
life.
for those of you
Any
out
politician
there who are just
who does
getting
not
to know
grasp
Tim Kaine,
this danger is not fit to lead our country.
You will soon understand why the people of Virginia keep promoting him from city council
Americans
and mayor
watching this address
to governor
tonight
and now
have seen
senator.
the recent images
And
of violence
he
in
will
our
make
streets
our whole
and the
country
chaos
proud as
in our
our
communities.
vice president.
Many have witnessed this violence personally. Some have even been its victims. I have a message
And
for all of you.
I want
The
to
crime
thank
and
Bernie
violence
Sanders.
that today afflicts our nation will soon, and I mean very soon, come to an end. Beginning
Bernie,
on
your
January
campaign
20th
inspired
of
millions of
2017,
Americans, particularly
safety
the young
will
people
be
who threw their
restored.
hearts and souls into our primary.
The most
You
basic
put
duty of government
economic
is
and
to defend the
social
lives
justice issues
of its own
front and
citizens.
center where
Any
they
government
belong.
that fails to do so is a government unworthy to lead.
And to all of your
It is
supporters
finally
here
time
and around the country,
for a
I want you
straightforward
to know,
assessment
I've heard
of
you.
the state
Your
of our
cause
nation.
is our cause.
I will present the facts plainly and honestly.
Our country needs
We
your
cannot
ideas,
afford
energy,
to be
and
so
passion.
politically
That is the only
correct
way
anymore.
we can turn our progressive platform into real change for America. We wrote it together. Now let's go out and make it
So if
happen
you want to
together.
hear the corporate spin, the carefully crafted lies, and the media myths, the
My
Democrats
friends,
are holding
we've
their
come to
convention
Philadelphia,
next week.
the
Go there.
birthplace of our nation, because what happened in this city 240
But here,
years ago
at our
still
convention,
has something
there
to
will
teach
be
us today.
no lies.
We all know
will
the story,
honor the
but we
American
usually
people
focus
with
on
the
how it
truth
turned out.
and nothing else.
And not enough on how close that story came to never being written at all. When representatives from 13 unruly colonies met just down the road from here, some wanted to stick with the king, and some wanted to stick it to the king.
These are the facts. Decades of progress made
The
in bringing down
revolution
crime
hung in the balance.
are now being reversed
Then somehow
by this
they began
administration's
listening to
rollback
each other.
of criminal enforcement.
Compromising.
Homicides last year
finding
increased by
common
17%
purpose.
in America's 50
And by the time
largest
they left
cities.
Philadelphia,
That's the largest
they had
increase
begun
in
to see themselves
25
as one
years.
nation. That's what made it possible to stand up to a king.
In our nation's capital,
took courage.
killings
They
have
had
risen
courage.
by
Our
50%.
founders embraced the enduring
They're up nearly
truth
60% in
that
nearby
we
Baltimore.
are
In the
stronger
president's
together.
hometown of Chicago, more than 2,000 people have been the victim of shootings this year alone.
Now-
and almost 4,000 have
Now
been
America
killed in the
is once
Chicago
again
area since
at a
he
moment of
took
reckoning.
office.
Powerful forces are threatening to pull us apart.
The number of police
Bonds of
officers
trust
killed
and respect
in the line of
are
duty
fraying.
has risen by almost
And just
50%
as with our
compared to this
founders,
point last
There are
year.
no guarantees.
Nearly
is up to
180,000
us.
illegal immigrants
We have
with
to
criminal
decide
records
whether
ordered
we will
deported from our
all
country
work
are
together
tonight
so we
roaming
can
free
all
to
rise
threaten
together.
peaceful citizens. The number of new
Our
illegal immigrant
country's
families
motto
who have crossed the border
is
so
E
far this
pluribus
year
unum.
already
Out of many,
exceeds
we are
the
one.
entire total
Will
from
we
2015.
stay true to that motto?
They are being released by the tens
Well,
of thousands
we heard
into our
Donald
communities
Trump's answer
with no
last
regard
week at his
for the
convention.
impact on public
He wants
safety
to
or
divide us
resources.
from the rest of the world and from each other. He's betting that the perils of today's world will blind us to its unlimited promise. He's taken the Republican Party a long way, from morning in America to midnight in America. He wants us to fear the future.
One such border crosser
and fear
was released
each other.
and made his
Well,
way
you know,
to Nebraska.
A great Democratic
There,
president,
he ended
Franklin
the life
Delano Roosevelt,
of an innocent
came up
young
with the
girl
perfect rebuke to
named
Trump
Sarah Root.
more than 80 years ago during
She was
a
21
much
years
more
old
perilous time
and was killed
The only thing
the day
we
after
have to
graduating
fear
from college
is fear
with a
itself.
4.0 grade point average, #1 in her class. Her killer was then
Now,
released a second time.
We are
and
clear-eyed
he is now a
about
fugitive
what our
from the
country
law.
is up against.
I've
But
met
we
Sarah's
are
beautiful
not
family.
afraid.
But to this administration,
We will rise
their
to the
amazing daughter
challenge,
was just
as we
one
always
more
have.
American life
We will not
that
build
wasn't
a wall.
worth protecting.
Instead, we will build an
No
economy
more.
where everyone who wants a good job can get
One more child to sacrifice on the order and on the altar of open borders.
And will build
What about
a
our
path
economy?
to citizenship
Again, I will
for
tell you
millions of
the plain
immigrants who are
facts
already
that have been edited out of your
contributing to
nightly
our
news
economy.
and your morning newspaper. Nearly 4 in 10 African American children are living in poverty,
not ban
while
a religion.
58% of
We
African
will work
American
with all
youth
Americans
are now
and our
not
allies
employed.
to fight and defeat terrorism.
2 million more Latinos are in poverty today than when President Obama took his oath of office less than 8 years ago.
Haven't had a pay raise since the crash.
Another 14 million
There's
people
too much inequality,
have left the
too little
workforce
social mobility,
entirely.
too much
Household
paralysis in
incomes
Washington.
are down more
Too
than
many threats at home and
$4,000
abroad.
since the year
But just
2000.
look
That's
for a
16
minute
years
at
ago.
the strengths
Our
we
trade
bring as
deficit
Americans to
in
meet
goods
these
reached
challenges.
nearly, think of this.
We have the most
think of
dynamic
this.
and
Our
diverse
trade
people
deficit
in the world.
is
We have
$800 billion. Yeah,
the most
think of that.
tolerant and generous young
$800
people
billion
we've ever had.
Last year alone, we're going to fix that.
We have the most powerful military, the most innovative entrepreneurs, the most enduring values. Freedom and equality, justice and opportunity.
The budget is no
we
better.
should be so proud
President
that those
Obama
words
has
are
almost doubled
associated
our
with
national
us.
debt to more than $19 trillion and growing. And yet, what do we have to show for it? Our roads and bridges are falling
I
apart.
have to tell you,
Our
as your
airports
Secretary
are
of State,
third
I went
world
to
condition.
112
And 43
countries.
million Americans
When people
are
hear
on food
those
stamps.
words,
Now,
they hear
let us consider
America.
the state of affairs abroad. Not only have our citizens endured
don't let
domestic
anyone tell
disaster,
you that our country
but
is
they've
weak.
lived through
We're
one
not.
international
Don't let anyone
humiliation
tell you we
after
don't have
another,
what it takes.
one
We
after
do.
another.
And most of all,
We all remember
don't
the
believe
images of our
anyone
sailors
who
being
says,
forced to their knees
"I
by their
alone
Iranian
can fix it."
captors at gunpoint.
Yes,
This was just prior to the signing
those
of the
were
Iran
actually
deal, which
Donald
gave
Trump's
back to
words in
Iran
Cleveland.
$150 billion and
alarm
gave
bells
us
for all of us.
absolutely nothing.
really, I alone
It
can
will
fix
go
it.
down in history
Isn't he
as one of the
forgetting
worst deals
troops
ever
on the front lines,
negotiated.
police officers and firefighters who run toward danger,
Another humiliation
doctors
came
and
when
nurses
President
who
Obama
care
drew a
for
red
us,
line in
teachers
Syria.
who change
And the whole
lives,
world knew it
entrepreneurs
meant
who see
absolutely
possibilities
nothing.
in every problem, mothers
In
who
Libya,
lost
our
children
consulate,
to
the
violence,
symbol of American
and are
prestige
building a
around the globe,
movement to keep
was
other
brought
kids
down
safe.
in flames.
He's forgetting.
America is
Every
far less
last
safe,
one of us.
and the world is
Americans
far less
don't
stable
say,
than when
"I alone
Obama
can fix it."
made the
We
decision
say,
to put
"We'll
Hillary
fix it
Clinton
together."
in charge of America's foreign policy.
And remember, our founders fought a revolution and wrote a constitution so America would never be a nation where one person had all the power.
Let's defeat her in November. Okay?
240 years later, we still put our faith in each other. Look at what happened in Dallas after the assassinations of 5 brave police officers. Police Chief David Brown
I am certain
asked the
that
community
it was
to
a
support his
decision
force.
that President
Maybe even join
Obama
them.
truly regrets.
And you know how the community responded?
Her bad
Nearly
instincts
500
and her
people
bad
applied in
judgment,
just 12
something
days.
pointed out by Bernie Sanders, are what caused so many of the disasters
That's how
unfolding today.
Americans answer
Let's
when the call
review
for help
the
goes
record.
out. 20 years ago, I wrote a book called It Takes a Village.
In 2009, pre-Hillary,
A lot of
ISIS
people
was not even
look at
on the
the
map.
title and ask,
Libya
what
was
the heck
stable.
do you mean by that?
Egypt was peaceful.
This
Iraq
is
was
what I
seeing
mean.
and really a
None of
big
us
reduction
can
in
raise a family,
violence.
build a business, heal
Iran
a
was
community,
being
or
choked
lift
by
a
sanctions.
country totally
Syria
alone.
was somewhat under control. After 4 years of Hillary Clinton,
America
what do
needs
we have?
every one of us to lend our
ISIS
energy,
has
our
spread
talents, our
across
ambition
the region
to making our
and the
nation
entire
better and
world.
stronger. I believe that
Libya is in
with
ruins,
all my heart.
and our ambassador and his
That's why
staff
Stronger
were
Together
left helpless to die
It's not just a lesson
at the
from our
hands
history.
of savage killers.
It's not just a slogan
Egypt
for
was
our
turned
campaign.
over to
It's
the
a
radical
guiding
Muslim
principle
Brotherhood,
for
forcing the
country we've
military
always been
to retake
and the
control.
future we're going to build.
Iraq
A
is in
country
chaos.
where the economy
Iran
works for
is on the
everyone,
path
not
to
just
nuclear
those
weapons.
at the top.
Syria is engulfed in a civil war, and a refugee crisis
Where
now
you can get a
threatens
good
the
job
West.
and send
After
your kids to a
15
good
years of
school,
wars in the Middle
no matter
East,
what zip
after
code you live
trillions
in.
of dollars spent,
A country
and thousands
where
of
all
lives
our
lost,
children can
the
dream, and
situation
those
is
dreams
worse
are within
than it has
reach.
ever
Where families
been
are strong,
before.
communities are safe,
This
and
is
yes,
the legacy of
where
Hillary
love
Clinton.
trumps
Death,
hate.
destruction, terrorism, and weakness. But Hillary Clinton's legacy
That's the
does not have to
country
be
we're fighting
America's
for.
legacy.
That's
the problems
the
we
future
face now,
we're working toward.
poverty and violence at home,
And so, my
war
friends,
and destruction
it is with
abroad,
humility,
will last only as long
determination,
as we
and
continue
boundless
relying
confidence
on
in
the same
America's
politicians
promise
who created
that
them
I
in the first
accept
place.
your nomination for President of the United States.
A change in leadership is required to produce a change in outcomes. Tonight, I will share with you my plan for Action for America. The most important difference between our plan and that of our opponent is that our plan will put America first.
Sometimes the people at this podium are new to the national stage. As you know, I'm not one of those people.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo
8 years
as
as
long
a senator from the great state
as
of New
we
York.
are led by politicians who will not put America first, then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve.
But my job titles only tell you what I've done. They don't tell you why.
The American people will come first once again.
The service part has always come easier to me than the public part. I get it. That some
My plan
people just don't
will begin
know what to make
with safety
of
at home,
me.
which means
So,
safe neighborhoods,
let me tell you,
secure borders, and protection from terrorism.
Well, no
there
one
can
had their
be
name
no
on big
prosperity
buildings.
without
My family
law
were
and
builders
order.
of a different kind. Builders in the way most American families are. They used whatever tools they had, whatever God gave them, and whatever life that America provided, and built better lives and better futures for their kids. My
On the
grandfather
economy,
worked in the same
I will outline
Scranton
reforms
lace mill
to add
for
millions of
50
new jobs
years.
and trillions in new wealth that can be used
Because
to
he
rebuild
believed
America.
that if he gave everything he had, his children
A number of
would have
these
a better
reforms
life than
that
he
I will
did.
outline tonight
And he was right.
will be opposed by
My
some
dad,
of our
Hugh, made it
nation's
to college.
most
He played
powerful
football at
special
Penn State
interests.
and
That's
enlisted
because
in the Navy
these
after
interests
Pearl
have
Harbor.
rigged our political
When
and
the war was
economic
over,
system
he
for
started
their
his own small
exclusive
business
benefit.
printing
Believe me,
fabric for
it's
draperies.
for their benefit.
I remember watching him stand for hours over silk screens. He
Big
wanted
business,
to give my
elite
brothers
media,
and me
and major
opportunities
donors are lining
never
up
had,
behind
and he
the
did.
campaign of my
My mother,
opponent
Dorothy,
because
was abandoned
they
by her
know
parents as a
she
young
will
girl.
keep our
She
rigged
ended up on her
system
own
in
at
place.
14, working as a housemaid. She was saved
They are
by
throwing
the
money at her
kindness of others.
because they have total
Her
control
first-grade teacher
over
saw
every single
She
thing
had
she
nothing
does.
to eat at lunch.
She
and
is
brought
their
extra
puppet,
food to
and
share
they
the entire
pull
year.
the strings.
The lesson she passed on to me years later stuck with me.
That is why
No
Hillary
one gets
Clinton's
through life
message
alone.
is that things
We
will
have to look
never
out for each other.
change. Never ever.
and lift each other up. And she made sure
My
I
message
learned the words
is that things
from our Methodist
have to
faith.
change. And
Do
they
all
have
the
to
good you
change
can
right
for all
now.
the people you can in all the ways you can, as long as ever you can. So I went to work for the Children's Defense Fund, going door to door in New Bedford, Massachusetts,
Every
on
day,
behalf of children
I
with
wake up
disabilities
determined
who were denied
to
the
deliver
chance to go to
a
school.
better life for the people
I
all
remember
across
meeting
this nation
a young girl in a
that have been
wheelchair on the small
ignored,
back porch
neglected,
of her
and
house.
abandoned.
She told
I
me
have
how
visited
badly
the laid-off
she wanted
factory
to go
workers
to school.
and the communities
didn't seem
crushed
possible
by
in
our
those days.
horrible and
I couldn't
unfair
stop thinking
trade
of my
deals.
mother and what she'd gone through as a child.
These are the forgotten
became
men
clear to
and
me
women of our country.
that simply
and they
caring
are
is not
forgotten,
enough.
but they're not going to
To
be
drive
forgotten
real
long.
progress, you have to change both hearts and laws. You need both understanding
These are people
and action.
who work
So
hard,
we gathered facts.
but no
we built
longer
a coalition,
have a voice.
And our work helped
I
convince
am
Congress
your
to ensure
voice.
access to education for all students with disabilities. It's a big idea, isn't it? Every kid with a disability has the right to go to school. But how? How do you make an idea like
I have
that
embraced
real?
crying mothers
You do
who
it
have lost
step by
their
step,
children because
year
our
by year,
politicians put
sometimes
their
even
personal
door by door.
agendas before the national
My
good.
heart just swelled.
I have no
when I
patience
saw
for injustice.
Anastasia Somoza representing millions of young people on this stage. Because we changed our law to make sure she got an education. So it's true. I sweat the details of policy, whether we're talking about the exact level of lead in the drinking water in Flint, Michigan, the number of mental health facilities in Iowa, or the cost of your prescription drugs. Because it's not just a detail if it's your kid, if it's your family, it's a big deal. And it should be a big deal to your president, too.
How great
the 4
are
days
our
of
police,
this convention,
and how great
you've
is
seen
Cleveland?
some of the people who've inspired me. People who let me into their lives and became a part of mine. People like Ryan Moore and Lauren Manning. They told their stories Tuesday night. I first met Ryan as a 7-year-old. He was wearing a full-body brace that must have weighed 40
Thank you.
pounds because I leaned over to
I have no
lift him up.
patience for injustice.
Children like
No
Ryan
tolerance
kept
for
me
government
going when our plan
incompetence,
for
of which there is so
universal
much.
healthcare failed,
No
and kept me
sympathy
working
for
with
leaders
of
who
both
fail their
parties
citizens.
to help create
When
the
innocent
Children's Health
people
Insurance
suffer
program
because
that
our
covers
political
8
system
million
lacks the
kids
will
in our
or the
country.
courage or the basic decency to enforce our laws, or still worse, has
Lauren
sold
Manning,
out
who
to
stood
some
here
corporate
with
lobbyists
such
for
grace and
cash.
power, was
I
gravely
am not
injured on
able
9/11.
to look the
It was
other
the
way,
thought of
and
her
I won't look
and
the
Debbie
other way.
St. John, who you saw in the movie, and John Dolan and Joe Sweeney and all the victims
And when
survivors
a Secretary of State
as hard as I
illegally
could in the Senate
stores her
on behalf of
emails
9/11
on a private
families and our
server,
first responders who
deletes
got sick from their
33,000
time
of
at
them
Ground Zero.
so the
I
authorities
was
can't
thinking
see her
of
crime,
Lauren, Debbie,
puts
and all
our
the others
country
10 years
at
later
risk,
in the White
lies
House
about it
Situation Room.
in every different
President
form,
Obama made the
and
courageous
faces
decision
no
that finally
consequence.
brought
I
Osama bin
know
Laden
that
to
corruption
justice.
has reached a level like never, ever before in our country.
And in this campaign, I've met many more people who motivate me to keep fighting for change. And with your help, I will carry all of your voices and stories with me to the White House.
When the FBI director says that the Secretary of State was extremely careless
from Republicans
and negligent
who are
in
supporting
handling our
campaign.
classified
I
secrets.
will be a president
I
for
also
Democrats,
know
Republicans,
that these terms are
independents,
minor
for the struggling,
compared
the
to what
striving,
she
the
actually
successful.
did.
For
They
all
were
those
just
who vote
used
for me
to save
and
her
for those
from
who
facing
don't.
justice
for
for her
all
terrible,
Americans
terrible
together.
crimes. In fact, her single greatest accomplishment may be committing such egregious crime and getting away with it, especially when others who have done far less have paid so dearly.
A woman for president.
When that same Secretary of State rakes in millions and millions of dollars trading access and favors to special interests and foreign powers, I know the time for action
as my
has
mother's
come.
daughter and my daughter's mother. I'm so happy this day has come. I'm happy for grandmothers and little girls and everyone in between. I'm happy for boys and men, because when any barrier falls in America,
so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people who cannot defend themselves.
After all, when there are no
Nobody
ceilings,
knows the system better than me.
The limit. So let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Which is
until
why
every one of the
I alone can
161
fix it.
million women and girls across America has the opportunity she deserves to have.
I have seen firsthand how the system is rigged against our citizens, just like it was rigged
the history we make
against
tonight
Bernie
is
Sanders.
The
He never
we
had
will
a
write
chance.
together
Never
in the
had a
years
chance.
ahead. Let's begin.
But
with what
his
we're going to do
supporters
to help working
will
people
join
in our country get ahead
movement
and stay
because
ahead.
we will fix
Now, I don't
his
think
biggest
President
single
Obama and
issue,
Vice President
trade
Biden
deals
get the
that
credit
strip
they deserve
our country
for
of
saving
its
us
jobs
from the
and
worst
strip us
economic
of
crisis
our
of
wealth
our
as a
lifetimes.
country.
Our economy is so much stronger than when they took office. Nearly 15
Millions
million
of
new
Democrats
private sector jobs.
will join our movement
20 million more
because we are
Americans
going
with
to
health
fix the
insurance,
system
and
so
an
it works
auto
fairly
industry
and
that
justly
just had its
for
best
each
year
and every
ever.
American.
Now, that's real progress.
In this
but
cause,
none of us
I
can
am
be
proud
satisfied
to have
with the status quo.
at my
Not
side
by a long shot.
the
We're
next
still
Vice
facing
President of the
deep-seated
United
problems that
States,
developed
Governor
long
Mike
before
Pence
the
of
recession that stayed
Indiana.
with us through the recovery. I've gone around the country talking to working families, and I've heard from many who feel like the economy sure isn't working for them. Some of you are frustrated, even furious. And you know what? You're right. It's not yet working the way it should. Americans are willing to work and work hard, But right now, an awful
And
lot
a
of
great
people
guy.
feel there is less
We will
and less
bring
respect
the same
for the work
economic
they do.
success to
And less
America
respect for
that
them,
Mike
period.
brought to Indiana, which is
Democrats,
amazing.
we are the party of working people.
He's a man of character and accomplishment. He is
But
the man
we haven't
for the
done
job.
a good enough job
The
showing
first
we
task
get what you're
for our
going
new
through,
administration
and we're going to do
will
something
be to liberate
help.
our citizens
So tonight I want to
from
tell
the crime
you
and
how we
terrorism
will
and
empower
lawlessness that
Americans to live
threatens
better lives.
our communities.
My
America
primary mission as
was
president
shocked
will be to
to its
create
core
more
when our
opportunity and
police
more good
officers
jobs
in
with
Dallas
rising wages
were so
right
brutally
here
executed.
in the United States.
Immediately after Dallas, we've seen continued threats and violence
From my
against our
first
law
day
enforcement
in office
officials.
to my last,
Law officers
especially in
have been
places
shot
that for
or
too
killed
long
in
have been
recent
left out and
days
left
in
behind.
Georgia,
From our inner
Missouri,
cities to our small
Wisconsin,
towns, from Indian
Kansas,
country to
Michigan,
coal country,
and Tennessee.
from communities ravaged by addiction
On Sunday,
to regions
more
hollowed
police
out by plant
were gunned down
closures.
in
And
Baton
here's what I
Rouge,
believe.
Louisiana.
I believe America
3
thrives
were
when the middle
killed,
class thrives.
and 3 were
I
very,
believe our
very
economy isn't
badly
working the way it
injured.
should because
An
our
attack
democracy
on law
isn't
enforcement
working the way
is
it
an attack
should.
on all Americans.
That's why we need to appoint Supreme Court justices who will get money out of politics and expand voting rights, not restrict them. And if necessary, we
I have a
will
message
pass a
to
constitutional
every last
amendment
person
to overturn
threatening the
Citizens
peace on our
United.
streets and the safety of our police. When I take the oath of office next year,
I believe
I will restore
American corporations
law and
that
order
have gotten
to our
so
country.
much from our country should be just as patriotic in return.
Believe me, believe me.
Many of them are, but too many aren't. It's wrong to
I
take
will work
tax
with
breaks
and
with
appoint
one hand
the
and
best
give out
and
pink
brightest
slips with the
prosecutors
other.
and law enforcement officials to get the job properly done.
And I believe Wall Street can never, ever be allowed to wreck Main Street again.
In this race for the White House, I am the law and order candidate.
And I believe in science. I believe climate change is real.
The
And that
irresponsible
we can
rhetoric
save
of our president,
planet while creating
who has used the
millions of
pulpit
good-paying,
of
clean
the
energy
presidency
jobs.
to divide us by race and color,
I
has
believe
made
that when we have
America
millions of
a more
hard-working
dangerous
immigrants contributing to our
environment
economy,
than, frankly,
it would be
I have ever
self-defeating
seen
and
anybody
inhumane
in
to
this
try
room
to
has
kick
ever
them out.
watched or seen. This administration has failed America's inner cities. Remember,
Comprehensive
it has
immigration
failed
reform
America's
will grow
inner
our
cities.
economy and keep families together, and it's the right thing to
It's
do.
failed them on education. It's failed them on jobs.
So,
it's failed
whatever
them
party
in
you belong
crime.
to, or if you
It's
belong
failed
to
them
no party
in
at all,
every way
if you share
and
these
on
beliefs,
every single
this
level.
is your
When I
campaign.
am president, I will work to ensure that all of our kids are treated equally and protected
If you
equally.
believe that companies should share profits, not pad executive bonuses,
Every
join
action I
us.
take, I will ask myself,
If you
does
believe
this make
the
better
minimum wage
for
should be a living
young
wage
Americans
and no
in
one
Baltimore,
working
in
full
Chicago,
time
in
should have
Detroit,
to raise their
in
children
Ferguson,
in poverty,
who
join
have
us.
really, in every way, folks, the same right
If
to live
you
out their
believe
dreams
that every
as
man,
any
woman, and
other
child
in America.
has the right
Any
to
other child.
affordable health care, join us. If you believe that we
To
should
make
say
life
no
safe
to unfair
for
trade
all of our
deals,
citizens,
that we should stand
we must
up to
also
China,
address the
that
growing
we should
threats we
support
face
our
from
steel
outside the
workers and
country.
auto workers and
We
homegrown
are going
manufacturers,
to defeat
then
the
join
barbarians
us.
of ISIS, and we're going to defeat them fast.
If you believe we should expand Social Security and protect a woman's right to make her own health care decisions, then join us.
Once again, France is the victim of brutal Islamic
And
terrorism.
yes,
Men, women,
yes,
and
if you
children
believe that
viciously
your working
mowed
mother,
down,
wife,
lives
sister, or daughter
ruined, families
deserves
ripped
equal
apart,
pay,
a nation in
join
mourning.
us.
The damage and devastation that can be inflicted by Islamic radicals has
That's
been
how
proven
we're going to make
over
sure
and over.
this economy works
At the World
for
Trade
everyone,
Center,
not just
at an
those
office
at
party
the top.
in San Bernardino,
Now, you didn't
at the
hear any of
Boston
this,
Marathon,
did you, from Donald Trump
at a
at his
military
convention?
recruiting center in Chattanooga, Tennessee,
He spoke for
and many,
70 odd
many
minutes,
other
and I do
locations.
mean odd.
Only weeks ago, in Orlando, Florida, 49 wonderful Americans were savagely
And he offered
murdered
zero
by an
solutions.
Islamic
But we
terrorist.
already know he doesn't
This
believe
time,
these things.
the terrorist
no wonder
target,
he doesn't like talking about his plans.
LGBTQ
You might have
community.
noticed I love talking
No
about
good.
mine.
And we're going to stop it.
In my first 100 days, we will work with both parties to pass the biggest investment in new, good-paying jobs since World War II. Jobs in manufacturing, clean energy, technology and innovation, small
As your
business
president,
and infrastructure.
I will do
If we
everything
invest
in my
infrastructure
power
now,
to
we'll not only
protect
create jobs
our
today, but lay the foundation
LGBTQ
for the
citizens
jobs of the
from the
future.
violence
we
and
will also
oppression
transform
of a
the way
hateful
we
foreign
prepare our young
ideology.
people for those jobs.
Believe me.
Bernie Sanders and I will work together to make college tuition free for the middle class and debt free for all. We will also liberate millions of people.
And I
who
have to
already
say,
have
as a
student
Republican,
debt.
it is so nice to hear you cheering for what I just said. Thank you.
It's just not right that Donald Trump can ignore his debts and students and families can't refinance their debts. And something we don't say often enough, sure, college is
To protect
crucial,
us
but a
from
four-year
terrorism,
degree should not
we need
be
to
the
focus
only
on
path to a
three
good job.
things. We must have the best, absolutely
We will
the
help
best
more
gathering
people
of
learn a skill
intelligence
or practice a
anywhere
trade and make
in
a
the
good
world.
living
The
doing it.
best. We must abandon
We will give small
the failed
businesses
policy
like my dad's
of nation
a boost.
building
Make it easier to get
and
credit.
regime
Way
change
too many dreams
that Hillary
die
Clinton
in the
pushed
parking
in
lots
Iraq,
of banks.
in Libya, in Egypt,
In America,
and in Syria.
if you can dream
Instead,
it, you should be able to
We
build
must
it.
work with all of our allies who share our goal
And we
of
will
destroying
help you
ISIS
balance
and
family and
stamping
work. And you know
out
what?
Islamic
If fighting for
terrorism
affordable
and doing it
childcare
now,
and
doing it
paid
quickly.
family
We're going to
leave
win.
is
We're going to
playing
win
the woman's
fast.
card, then deal me in. Now here's the other thing. Now, we're not
This
only going
includes
to make
working
all of these
with our
investments,
greatest
we're going to
ally
pay for every
in the
single one of
region,
them.
the
And
state
here's how.
of Israel.
Wall Street, corporations, and the super rich are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. This is not because we resent success.
Recently,
but when more than 90% of the gains have
that
gone
NATO
to the top
was
1%,
obsolete
that's
because
where the money
it did
is.
not
and
properly
we are
cover
going to
terror.
follow the money.
And also that many of the member countries were not paying their
and
fair
if companies
share.
take tax breaks and then ship jobs overseas, we'll make
As
them
usual,
pay us back. And we'll put
the
that
United
money
States
to work where it belongs,
has been picking up the
creating
cost.
jobs here at home.
Shortly thereafter, it was announced
I
that
imagine
NATO
some of you
will be
are
setting
sitting
up
at home
a
thinking,
new program
well, that all sounds
in order
pretty good.
to combat
but how are you
terrorism.
going to get it done?
A true
how
step
are you going
in
to
the
break
right
through
direction.
the gridlock in Washington? Well, look at my record. I've worked across the aisle to pass laws and treaties
Lastly,
and to launch
and
new
very
programs
importantly,
that help
we
millions
must
of
immediately
people.
suspend
and if you
immigration
give me the chance, that's
from
exactly
any nation
what I'll do as
that
president.
has been compromised by
But then
terrorism
I also imagine
until such
people are
time
thinking out there,
as
but
proven
Trump,
vetting mechanisms
businessman.
have been put in
He must
place.
know
We
something
don't want
about the
them in
economy.
our country.
Well, let's take a closer look, shall we? In Atlantic City, 60 miles from here, you will find contractors and small businesses who lost everything because Donald Trump refused to pay his bills.
My opponent has called for a radical 550% increase in Syrian. Think of this. Think of this.
But think of this.
This is not believable,
People
but this
who
is
did
what's
the work
happening.
and needed
A
the money,
550%
not
increase
because he
in
couldn't
Syrian
pay them,
refugees,
but because
on top
he
of
wouldn't
the
pay
existing
them.
massive
He
refugee
just
flows
stiffed them.
coming into our
And you know
country
that sales
already
pitch he's making
under
to be
the
president? Put
leadership
your faith in him and you'll
of
win
President
big.
Obama.
That's the same sales pitch he made to all those small businesses. And Trump walked
She
away
proposes this
and left
despite
working
the
people
fact
holding the bag.
that there's no
He
way
also
to screen
talked
these
a big game
refugees
about putting
in order to
America
find
first.
out who they
Well, please
are
explain
or where they
what
come
part of
from.
America first leads him to make
I
Trump ties
only
in
want
China,
to admit
not Colorado.
individuals
Trump
into
suits
our
in
country
Mexico, not
who will
Michigan.
support our
Trump
values
furniture
and love
in Turkey,
our
not
people.
Ohio. Trump picture frames in India, not Wisconsin. Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again. Well, he could start by actually making things in America again.
Anyone who endorses violence, hatred, or oppression is not welcome in our country and never, ever will
be. The face
be.
in this election is just as stark when it comes to our national security.
Decades of record immigration have produced lower wages and higher unemployment for our citizens, especially for African American and Latino workers. We are going to have an immigration system that works, but one that works for the American people.
With determined enemies that must be defeated. So it's no wonder that people
on Monday,
are anxious and
we heard
for reassurance,
from 3 parents
for steady
whose children were killed
wanting a leader
by
who
illegal
understands
immigrants.
we are
Marianne
when
Mendoza,
we work with
Sabine
our allies around
Durden,
the world
and my
care
friend
for our veterans here
Jamil
at home.
Shaw. They're just 3 brave representatives
Keeping
of
our
many
nation
thousands
safe and
who have
honoring the
suffered
people
so
who
gravely.
do that work will be my
Of all my
highest
travels
priority.
in this country,
I'm
nothing
proud that
has
we put a lid
affected
on
me
Iran's
more,
nuclear program without
nothing
firing
even
a single
close,
shot.
I have to tell you, than the time I have spent with the mothers and
Now,
fathers who
we
have
to
lost
enforce
their
it.
children to
And we
violence,
must keep
spilling
supporting
across
Israel's
our
security.
borders, which we can solve. We have to solve it.
I'm proud that we shaped a global climate agreement. Now we have to hold every country accountable to their commitments, including ourselves.
These families have
I'm
no
proud
special interest to
stand
represent.
by our allies
There are
in
no
NATO
demonstrators
against any
to
threat they
protect
face,
them,
including
and certainly
from
none
Russia.
to protest on their behalf. My opponent will never meet with
I've
them
laid out my
or share in
strategy
their
for
pain,
defeating
believe
ISIS.
me.
We will strike their
Instead,
sanctuaries
my
from the
opponent
air and
wants
support
sanctuary
local forces
cities.
taking them out on the ground. We will surge our intelligence so we detect and prevent attacks before they
But
happen.
where was the
We will
sanctuary
disrupt their
for
efforts
Kate
online
Steinle?
to reach and radicalize young people in our country. It won't be
Where
easy
was the
or quick,
sanctuary
but
for
make
the
no
children
mistake, we
of
will
Marianne
prevail.
and Sabine and Jamil?
Now, Donald Trump,
Where was the sanctuary
Donald Trump
for
says,
all of
and
the
this
other?
is a quote,
it's so sad to even be
I know
talking
more
about it
about
because we could
ISIS
solve this
than
problem
the
so
generals
quickly.
do.
Where was the sanctuary for all of
No,
the other
Donald,
Americans
you don't.
who have been so brutally murdered and who have suffered so horribly? These wounded American families have been alone, but they are not alone
He
any
thinks he
longer.
knows more than our military because he claimed our armed forces are a disaster. Well, I've had the privilege to work closely with our troops and our veterans for many years, including
Tonight,
as a senator on the Armed Services
this
Committee, and I
candidate
know how wrong
and the
he
whole
is.
nation
Our
stand in
military
their
is a
corner
national treasure.
to support them,
We entrust our commander
to send them our love,
to make the hardest
and to
decisions
pledge
our
in
nation
their honor
faces.
that we will
Decisions
save
about war and
countless
peace,
more
life
families
and death.
from suffering
A president
and the
should
same
respect
awful
the men
fate.
and women who risk their lives to serve our country.
We are going to build a great border wall
Captain
to stop
Hahn
illegal
and the
immigration,
sons of Tim Kaine
to
and
stop
Mike
the
Pence,
gangs
both Marines.
and the violence, and to stop the drugs from pouring
So just
into
ask
our
yourself,
communities.
You really think Donald Trump has the temperament to be commander-in-chief? Donald Trump can't even handle the rough and tumble of a presidential campaign. He loses his cool at the slightest provocation.
I have been honored
when he's gotten a tough
to receive
question
the
from
endorsement
a reporter, when
of
he's
America's
challenged in a
Border
debate,
Patrol agents.
when he sees a protester at a rally. Imagine.
And will
you
work
dare
directly with
imagine.
them to
Imagine him
protect
in the Oval Office
the
facing
integrity
a real
of our
crisis.
lawful
A man you can
immigration
bait
system.
with a
Lawful.
tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons.
By ending catch and release on the border, we will end the cycle of human smuggling and violence. Illegal border crossings will go down. We will stop it. It won't be happening very much anymore. Believe me.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. She said that what worried President Kennedy during that very
Peace
dangerous
will
time
be restored
was that a
by
war might be
enforcing the
started,
rules for
not by big
millions
men
who
with
overstay their
self-control
visas.
and restraint,
Our laws
but by
will
little
finally
men, the ones
receive
moved
the
by fear
respect
and pride.
that they deserve.
America's strength doesn't
Tonight,
come from lashing out.
I
It
want
relies
every
on
American
smarts,
whose demands for
judgment, cool
immigration
resolve, and
security
the
have been
precise and
denied.
strategic
And every
application of
politician
power,
who
and
has
that's
denied
the
them
kind of commander-in-chief
to listen
I
very,
pledge
very
to be.
closely to the words I am about to say. On January 20th of 2017,
And if we're
the
serious
day
about
I
keeping our
take
country
the oath
safe,
of office,
we also can't afford to have a president who's in the pocket of the gun lobby.
Americans will finally wake up in a country where the laws of the United States are enforced.
I'm not here to repeal the Second Amendment. I'm not here to take away your guns. I just don't want you to be shot by someone who shouldn't have a
We
gun
are going
in the
to be
first place.
considerate and compassionate to everyone. But my greatest compassion will be for our own struggling citizens.
We will We will work tirelessly with responsible gun owners to pass common sense reforms and keep guns out of the hands of criminals, terrorists, and all others who would do us harm.
USA.
You know, for
USA.
decades, people have said this issue was too hard to solve and the politics too hot to touch. But I ask you, how
my
can you just
plan
stand by and
is
do
the
nothing?
exact opposite
You heard
of the radical
you saw
and dangerous
family members of
immigration
people
policy
killed
of Hillary
by gun
Clinton.
violence on this stage.
Americans
You
want
heard,
relief
you saw family
from
members
uncontrolled
of police
immigration,
officers
which is what we
killed
have
in the
now.
line of duty because they
Communities
were outgunned
want
by
relief.
criminals.
Yet
I
Hillary
refuse to
Clinton
believe
is
we can't
proposing
find common ground
mass
here.
amnesty,
We have
mass
to heal the
immigration,
divides in our
and mass
country, not just on
lawlessness.
guns, but on race, immigration, and more.
Her plan will overwhelm your schools and hospitals, further reduce your jobs and wages, and make
that
it harder
starts
for recent
with
immigrants
listening
to
to each other,
escape
trying
the
as best we
tremendous
can
cycle of
walk
poverty
in each
that they're
other's
going
shoes.
through right now,
So let's
and
put
make it
ourselves
almost
in the shoes of
impossible
young
for
Black
them
and
to
Latino
join
men
the
and
middle
women
class.
who face the effects of systemic racism.
I
and
have
are
a
made
different
to
vision
feel
for
like
our
their
workers.
lives are
It begins
disposable.
with a new fair trade policy that protects our jobs and stands up to countries
Let's put
that
ourselves
cheat,
in
of
the
which
shoes
there
of
are
police
many.
officers kissing their kids and spouses goodbye every day, heading off to do a dangerous and necessary job.
It's been a
We
signature
will
message
reform our
of my
criminal
campaign
justice system
from day one,
end to
and it
end,
will be a
and
signature
rebuild
feature
trust
of my presidency
between law
from the
enforcement
moment
and the
I
communities
take
they
the
serve.
oath of office.
And we will defend all
I
our
have
rights,
made
civil rights,
billions
human
of dollars
rights, and
in
voting
business
rights,
making deals.
women's rights,
Now
and
I'm
workers'
going
rights,
to make our
LGBT
country
rights, and
rich
the
again.
rights of people with disabilities. And we will stand
Using
up
the greatest
against
business
mean and
people in the
divisive
world,
rhetoric
which our
wherever
country
it comes
has.
from.
I am
You know,
going
for the
to
past
turn
year, many
our
people
bad
made the
trade
mistake
agreements
of
into
laughing
great
off
trade
Donald
agreements.
Trump's comments, excusing him as an entertainer just putting on a show.
America has lost nearly one-third
They
of
thought
its
he couldn't
manufacturing
possibly
jobs
mean all
since
the horrible things he
1997.
says.
Following
Like
the
when he called women
enactment
pigs,
of
or said
disastrous
that
trade
an
deals
American judge
supported
couldn't be
by
fair
Bill
because of his
and Hillary
Mexican
Clinton.
heritage. Or when he mocks and
Remember,
mimics a
it was
reporter
Bill
with a
Clinton
disability
who
or
signed
insults prisoners
NAFTA,
of
one of
war
the
like
worst
John McCain,
economic deals
a hero and
ever
a
made
patriot
by
who
our
deserves
country
our
or,
respect.
frankly,
Now, at
any other
first-
country. Never,
At
ever
first, I admit,
again.
I couldn't believe he meant it either. It was just too hard to fathom. That
I
someone
am
who
going
wants
to
lead
bring
our
back
nation could
our
say those
jobs
things.
to
Could be
Ohio
like
and
that.
Pennsylvania and New
here's the
York
sad truth.
and Michigan
There
and
is
all
no
of
other Donald
America.
Trump.
And I
This
am not
is
going
it.
to let companies move to other countries,
in the end,
firing their employees
comes
along
down
the
to
way
what Donald
without
Trump
consequence.
doesn't get.
Not going to happen
America
anymore.
is great because America is good. So, enough
My
with
opponent,
the bigotry
on the
and
other
the
hand,
bombast.
has supported
Donald Trump's
virtually
not
every
offering
trade
real
agreement
change. He's offering
that has
empty
been destroying
promises.
our middle
and what
class.
are we offering? A
She
bold
supported
agenda
NAFTA,
to improve the lives
and
of
she
people
supported
across
China's
our country,
entrance
to keep
into
you
the
safe,
World
to
Trade
get you good
Organization.
jobs, to get
Another
your kids
one of
the
her husband's
opportunities
colossal
they deserve.
mistakes and disasters.
The choice is
She
clear, my
supported
friends.
the job-killing trade deal
Every
with
generation
South
of Americans
Korea.
has come together
She
to
supported
make our country
the Trans-Pacific
freer, fairer,
Partnership,
and stronger.
which will not only
None
destroy
of
our
us
manufacturing,
ever have
but
or
it will
can
make
do it
America
alone. I
subject
know
to
that
the
at a time
rulings
when so
of
much
foreign
seems to be
governments,
pulling
and
us
it's not
apart,
going to happen.
It can be hard to imagine how we'll ever pull together. But I'm here to tell you tonight, progress is possible.
I pledge to never sign
because I've
any
seen
trade
it in the
agreement
lives
that
of
hurts
people
our
across
workers
America
or
who
that
get knocked
diminishes
down
our
and
freedom
get right
and
back
our
up.
independence.
And
We
I
will
know
never,
I know
ever
it from my
sign
own
bad
life.
trade
More than a
deals.
few times
America
I've had to pick
first
myself
again.
up and
America
get back
first.
in the game. Like so much else in my life, I got this from my mother, too. She never let me back down from any challenge. When I tried to hide from a neighborhood
I will
bully,
make
she
individual
literally blocked
deals
the door.
with individual
Go
countries.
back out there,
No
she
longer
said.
will we enter
And she
into
was
these
right.
massive
You
transactions
have to
with many
stand up to
countries
bullies.
that are thousands
You
of
have to
pages
keep
long
working to
and which
make
no
things
one
better,
from our country
even when
even
the
reads
odds are
or
long
understands.
and the opposition is fierce.
We
lost
are
our
going to
mother a few
enforce
years ago,
all
but I
trade
miss her every day,
violations
and I still
against
hear her
any
voice
country
urging
that
me to
cheats.
keep working, keep fighting for right no matter what. That's what we need to do together
This
as a
includes
nation.
stopping China's outrageous theft of intellectual property, along with their illegal product dumping and their devastating currency manipulation. They are the greatest that ever came about. They are the greatest currency manipulators ever.
That's why we're here, not just in this hall, but on this earth.
Our horrible trade agreements with China
and so have
and many others
since
will be totally
they were drawn together
renegotiated.
by love of country and the
that includes
passion
renegotiating NAFTA to get a much better deal for America, and we'll walk away if we don't get that kind of a deal.
The world is watching what we do. Yes, America's destiny is ours to choose. So let's be stronger together,
Our
my
country
fellow Americans.
is going to start building and making things again.
With courage and confidence. Let's build a better tomorrow for our beloved children.
Next comes
and our beloved
the reform
country.
of our tax laws,
and when we do,
regulations, and
America
energy
will
rules.
be greater
While
than
Hillary
ever.
Clinton
Thank you,
plans
and
a
may God
massive,
bless you
and I mean
and the
massive,
United States
tax
of
increase,
America.
I have proposed the largest tax reduction of any candidate who has run for president this year, Democrat or Republican. Middle-income Americans and businesses will experience profound relief, and taxes will be greatly simplified for everyone. I mean everyone. America is one of the highest taxed nations in the world. Reducing taxes will cause new companies and new jobs to come roaring back into our country. Believe me, it'll happen, and it'll happen fast. Then we're going to deal with the issue of regulation, one of the greatest job killers of them all. Excessive regulation is costing our country as much as $2 trillion a year, and we will end it very, very quickly. We are going to lift the restrictions on the production of American energy. This will produce more than $20 trillion in job-creating economic activity over the next 4 decades. My opponent, on the other hand, wants to put the great miners and the great steelworkers of our country out of work and out of business. That will never happen with Donald J. Trump as president. Our steelworkers and our miners are going back to work again. With these new economic policy, trillions and trillions of dollars will start flowing into our country. This new wealth will improve the quality of life for all Americans. We will build the roads, highways, bridges, tunnels, airports, and the railways of tomorrow. This, in turn, will create millions of more jobs. We will rescue kids from failing schools by helping their parents send them to a safe school of their choice. My opponent would rather protect bureaucrats than serve American children. And that's what she's doing, and that's what she's done. We will repeal and replace disastrous Obamacare. You will be able to choose your own doctor again. And we will fix TSA at the airports, which is a total disaster. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to work with all of our students who are drowning in debt to take the pressure off these young people just starting out in their adult lives. Tremendous problem. We will completely rebuild our depleted military. And the countries that we are protecting at a massive cost to us will be asked to pay their fair share. We will take care of our great veterans like they have never been taken care of before. My just-released 10-point plan has received tremendous veteran support. We will guarantee those who serve this country will be able to visit the doctor or hospital of their choice without waiting 5 days on a line and dying. My opponent dismissed the VA scandal. One more sign of how out of touch she really is. We are going to ask every department head in government to provide a list of wasteful spending on projects that we can eliminate in my first 100 days. The politicians have talked about this for years, but I'm going to do it. We are going to appoint justices of the United States Supreme Court who will uphold our laws and our Constitution. The replacement of our beloved Justice Scalia will be a person of similar views, principles, and judicial philosophies. Very important. This will be one of the most important issues decided by this election. My opponent wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. I, on the other hand, received the early and strong endorsement of the National Rifle Association and will protect the right of all Americans to keep their families safe. At this moment, I would like to thank the evangelical and religious community, because I'll tell you what, the support that they've given me, and I'm not sure I totally deserve it, has been so amazing and has had such a big reason for me being here tonight. True. So true. They have much to contribute to our politics, yet our laws prevent you from speaking your minds from your own pulpits. An amendment pushed by Lyndon Johnson many years ago threatens religious institutions with a loss of their tax-exempt status if they openly advocate their political views. Their voice has been taken away. I am going to work very hard to repeal that language and to protect free speech for all Americans. We can accomplish these great things and so much more. All we need to do is start believing in ourselves and in our country again. Start believing. It is time to show the whole world that America is back, bigger and better and stronger than ever before. In this journey, I'm so lucky to have at my side my wife, Melania, and my wonderful children, Don, Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Barron. You will always be my greatest source of pride and joy. And by the way, Melania and Ivanka, did they do a job? My dad, Fred Trump, was the smartest and hardest working man I ever knew. I wonder sometimes what he'd say if he were here to see this and to see me tonight. It's because of him that I learned from my youngest age to respect the dignity of work and the dignity of working people. He was a guy most comfortable in the company of bricklayers and carpenters and electricians. And I have a lot of that in me also. I love those people. Then there's my mother, Mary. She was strong, but also warm and fair-minded. She was a truly great mother. She was also one of the most honest and charitable people that I have ever known, and a great, great judge of character. She could pick them out from anywhere. To my sisters, Mary Ann and Elizabeth, my brother, Robert, and my late brother, Fred, I will always give you my love. You are most special to me. I have had a truly great life in business. But now, my sole and exclusive mission is to go to work for our country, to go to work for you. It's time to deliver a victory for the American people. We don't win anymore, but we are going to start winning again. But to do that, we must break free from the petty politics of the past. America is a nation of believers, dreamers, and strivers that is being led by a group of censors, critics, and cynics. Remember, all of the people telling you you can't have the country you want are the same people that wouldn't stand. They said Trump doesn't have a chance of being here tonight. Not a chance. The same people. Oh, we love defeating those people, don't we? Don't we love defeating those people? Love it, love it, love it. No longer can we rely on those same people in the media and politics who will say anything to keep our rigged system in place. Instead, we must choose to believe in America. History is watching us now. We don't have much time, but history is watching. It's waiting to see if we will rise to the occasion. And if we will show the whole world that America is still free and independent and strong. I am asking for your support tonight so that I can be your champion in the White House. And I will be your champion. My opponent asks her supporters to recite a 3-word loyalty pledge. It reads, I'm with her. I choose to recite a different pledge. My pledge reads, I'm with you, the American people. I am your voice. So to every parent who dreams for their child and every child who dreams for their future, I say these words to you tonight. I am with you. I will fight for you. and I will win for you. To all Americans tonight, in all of our cities and in all of our towns, I make this promise. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.